You're listening to the How to Talk to Girls podcast with your dating coach, Trip, from tripadvice.com. Do you struggle with getting girls to like you? Well, you're going to learn step-by-step how to talk to girls to create deep connections and meet the woman of your dreams. Here's your host, me, Trip. Hello and welcome to the How to Talk to Girls podcast. I'm your host, Trip Kramer from, tripadvice.com, unless you're listening to this for the very first time and you've never heard of me in your entire life. That's right, tripadvice.com. It's funny because a lot of people have said to me in the past, like people I meet, they're like, oh, what's your website called or what's your business called? And I'll say TripAdvice. And they'll say, oh man, that's really clever. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, like TripAdvisor. That's good. And I'm always like, yeah, I know it sounds like TripAdvisor, but in what way did you think that I wanted to pick the name TripAdvice because it sounded like TripAdvisor? And since they sound alike, somehow that would garner more business. I have no idea, but it's funny that people say that to me all the time. And when I created the name of this brand and this company, it was never to do with any planned words or calling it something that resembled TripAdvisor. Like, no, it was just, I'm Trip and I have advice and it's my advice and TripAdvice. That's kind of how it was born. But anyway, today we got a good episode for you. Today we're talking about flirting. And once again, I came up with this concept for the podcast from my group called Trip's Corner. Trip's Corner is a private, secret, closed Facebook group only available to those who have joined the program Hooked or who have invested in a number of my other products, maybe like Fearless Formula or Hooked Online, which is launching here very soon. And if you are part of those, then you have access to Trip's Corner. Now, if you don't have access to Trip's Corner, a way to get involved in that group where there is over 700 guys is to very simply get one of the programs. So go to getherhooked.com if you want to get hooked, get a girl hooked, learn how to do it, and also become a member of Trip's Corner where we're talking about a lot of stuff. And today I felt inspired to be able to talk about this topic because there was a guy, I'm not going to name any names, I never do, I always like to keep it anonymous, of course, but there was a guy in there who ended up posting a few text messages that he had with a girl. And he posted the text messages, and it seemed to me like it was really out of context. Like he posted the text messages, and then when I was looking at him, he ended up throwing out this really kind of overtly sexual flirt. And there was nothing wrong with it except for the timing aspect of it. Well, I basically figured this out later, but you see a bunch of text between him and this girl, and then he says something. Hey, you know what? I'm just going to read it. I'm just going to read it right now. So let's pull it up. He says here, I know this is odd, but I got to ask, what's your astrology sign? I am into astrology. What can I say? LOL. She said, Cancer, I guess, July 7th. And then he said, you're a Cancer, and I'm Pisces. According to astrology, we're a perfect match, ... in bed. And then she says, LMFAO, smooth. So here's the thing. She didn't respond too harshly to it, but I am really shocked because that could have gone way worse than it really did. And I knew this because I could tell that this is text messages with a girl that's not already interested, because he says, I know this is odd, but I got to ask, what's your astrology sign? And then she said, Cancer, I guess, July 7th. And so that response just shows me that she's just kind of responding to like this question out of nowhere. Now, I think I know where he got this from because I talk about this in my free program called Chick Crack, which you should get. It's a free video that tells you the conversation topics that women like to talk about. And one of those conversation topics happens to be astrology. However, I should, unless I have that in there already, I think I should really tell you that these conversation topics are not ones you want to have over text message. Okay, this has nothing to do with text messaging. Conversation topics that come out of Chick Crack are really all about in person. This is not about trying to do it over text. And if you've learned anything from my text message videos or podcasts, I've been telling you for a long time that text messages are all about being able to get a date and set up a date. It's not about using texting to get her interested or build attraction, because it's not going to work. At least it's not going to be as powerful as doing it in person. So I think that's what he was trying to do here. And then all of a sudden he just lines it up, right? It's like, he's basically lying. He's like, I'm into astrology. What can I say? Well, no, you're not into astrology because obviously you're saying here that Cancer and Pisces are a perfect match in bed. So it sounds like a really cheesy pickup line. So this leads me to my first big mistake when it comes to flirting. Is flirting too much or going overtly sexual in your flirting before she's actually interested? So what happened here is I ended up asking him, I said, how do you know her? And he said, well, she goes to my college. I've seen her a couple times. I used to talk to her friends, but at the moment she had a boyfriend, yada, yada. Somehow he got her number. I'm not really sure. I don't know how it happened, but they ended up somehow texting. And here he is flirting with her when she's not even interested. So really, I got to teach you about how this process goes. And the process is first, you got to get her somewhat interested in you. You got to get a couple signs under your belt that she's actually interested. I talk all about this in a bonus program, an effortless flirting in my Hooked program. So if you want to really dive deep into this concept, I suggest you check it out. Again, that's at getherhooked.com. But either way, basically what I'm trying to say is you need to get her interested first. You need to get a couple signs of interest. Is she asking you questions back? Is she trying to be more engaged in conversation? See, if you go through this entire text message thread, you'll find out that she's just answering questions and she's not doing anything else, meaning she's not engaging. She's showing no signs of interest. The only sign of interest that she's showing is she's still responding. But that is not strong enough. Let me repeat, this is not a strong enough sign to be able to really show you that she's interested and wants you to be flirting with her and flirting with her in a sexual way. No, no, no. So you have to understand that you cannot flirt too much before she is showing at least a couple signs of interest. So there's nothing wrong with saying what you said there, but saying that when, in fact, she's not quite interested, that's the problem. But if she was already interested and you guys are flirting a lot, or maybe you guys have already kissed each other, or maybe, she's been just kind of all over you, asking you a lot of questions, you guys, and by the way, I'm talking about in person, not over text message, but she's just all over you. It's like, okay, obviously, then I guess you could say that as like a tease, but even so, you wouldn't even need to say that at that point. But I don't really condone that kind of flirting because it's just really cheesy, but whatever. I don't know. Maybe that would work. But again, not before she's at least a little bit interested. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see guys do. Honestly, and in a minute here, I'll tell you the second biggest mistake. But there's only two huge mistakes in flirting, and these are it. Okay? So you really need to be able to be a master at reading her body language and reading her signs of interest. And the only way to do that is to be going out multiple times per month, really pushing it to multiple times per week to get the practice of interacting with a girl. Because I can sit here all day and tell you the signs. You can look up online all the videos that talk about the signs that a girl likes you, and you'll learn, but they're not going to be as powerful as you experiencing it. We call this reference experience because you can actually reference it because it actually happened. So this is what you need to do. And I can't stress it enough that the more girls you talk to, the more that you practice, the easier it's going to be able to do all of this stuff, to practice all this stuff, to be able to be like, oh, okay, I know when she's interested. It's really not that hard. I remember back in the day, I read that book, The Game, Neil Strauss, and there was this one page in there when he's like, I instantly knew when she was attracted to me. And my mind was blown. I was like, oh my God, that's a superpower. And it's funny because I look back at that now and I'm like, wait, that's not that hard. That's not a superpower at all. It's really fairly easy. The only reason why he was able to do it was because he put himself out there and experienced it. So that is what I want from you. Go out there and experience it, talk to more girls. And then once you know, and by the way, listen to your intuition. Your intuition is really strong when it comes to signs that a girl likes you. So really pay attention to those, and then you can go into heavier flirting. And if you want to know how to flirt more, well, you have three options. I got my YouTube channel. I talk about flirting. I got my podcast. I have a ton of different episodes on flirting. And of course, my Hooked program goes in depth and exactly step by step how to do it. So check one of those three out. Hopefully it's the Hooked program because I can get you in Trip's Corner and you and I can talk because I am always in there and answering people's questions. So you're going to have access to me pretty much every single day. All right. Okay. The next big mistake, and I think you're probably guilty of this. That's right. You who's listening, you're probably guilty of this. And this is something I'm trying to push guys to do every single day because they don't do it. And what is the mistake? The mistake is that they don't even do it at all. Honestly, that's the biggest mistake, is that you're not even doing it. A lot of guys are just acting like friends, which is what lands them in the friend zone in the first place. That's the big mistake there. It lands them right in the friend zone because they're not showing the girl that they're somewhat interested. That's what flirting is. It's a way of showing subtle interest. In fact, I like to say that flirting really encompasses all areas of interest. The actual definition is like, they're, because when you flirt with something or flirt with the idea, it means you kind of like tap into it a little bit, like it's very subtle, it's under the radar. But I say flirting can be anywhere from something really light in terms of, maybe you tease her a little bit or you go up and start talking to her, all the way to the point of showing your intentions, actually telling a girl that you're interested in her, actually telling her that you like her. I call that flirting too. But what I'm saying to you is one of the biggest mistakes I see is guys don't even do it. And I know why you don't do it. I know exactly why you don't do it. It's hard and you don't want to screw up. And if you screw it up, then the girl's going to reject you, right? Yes, I know. I am very, very aware of this. So you need to start doing it. And my best advice to you is to start doing it kind of step by step. Make it easy for yourself. Don't make this too stressful where you got to go out and start saying things that you think are really intense. You got to tell a girl you like her, like, whoa, that's okay. If you don't have the guts to start doing that, you can start really slow. Flirting is comprised of compliments, teasing, eye contact, light touching. This is all that flirting is. Really, there's different types of flirting, verbal and nonverbal. I just named a few. But once you learn how to do it, just test something out. Go out there and test something out. Sometimes just looking a girl right in the eyes and talking to her and smiling is a form of flirting. So that's something you can do. You can practice that and do that over and over and over and over again. There's so many girls out there. If you listen to my podcast, you know I kind of repeat the same things over and over again. The fact that there's so many girls you can talk to. I want you to live in a life of abundance. That means that you know that there's an abundant amount of girls out there that you can date, that you can be with, that you can spend time with, that you can flirt with, that you can get rejected by. There's so many, right? There's so many. And it is possible for you, but it's not going to be possible if you don't try to do it first. So please, let's get the friend zone just destroyed here, okay? If you don't want to be the girl's friend, then you don't act like her friend. If you don't want to act like her friend, then the key is, starts with an F, ends with flirting. We're talking about flirting. That's what I want from you, and that's what we're going to do. So let's get rid of these two mistakes. Start flirting, and also just don't start flirting heavily, okay, until you know she's somewhat interested. But here's the part that I know it might be confusing to you. It's like, I don't get it, Trip. You tell me not to flirt, you tell me to flirt. What's going on here? It's just levels. There's levels of flirting, right? It should be very common sense, very intuitive. A very beginner stage flirting is eye contact. More advanced flirting is saying something with a sexual innuendo. So all I'm telling you is you don't need to start with something that heavy. That's something you can do when you guys have been talking for a while, you know she's interested. But before you know she's interested, you can still flirt. It's just going to be in the form of maybe asking her some questions, giving her a little tease, giving her a little compliment, and then working your way up to something more substantial. Okay? So, hope that helps. Again, this episode's not going to be all about teaching you how to flirt. I got other stuff that will teach you how to do that, but at least this is a good start for you if you're getting yourself out there and learning how to flirt with women, because this is how it goes, my friend, and this is how I want you to succeed. So, I hope that helped. And as always, you can subscribe to iTunes. I believe you can subscribe on Stitcher too. So check it out. We're on both. So make sure you get herhook.com. Check out that website to get the program. And then I'll see you hopefully in Trip's Corner. Talk to you soon.